opening up a little bit of this. Hi friends, it's Carla. Let me close this. Oh, hey Joan, how are you? Hi Joanne. Welcome. Glad you're here. Happy Sunday. I'm gonna move my computer a little bit out of the way. Good. We got a little break in the heat today. It wasn't too terrible. We made it out to church. We're going to use air dry clay today. I'm very excited. Hi, Dawn Marie. How are you? My Wisconsin friend. It's always nice when you can stop by. Hi, Deb. Welcome. Here's Joanne. Just got out of the shower. You're so funny, Joanne. I'm so glad. That's great. I'm just waiting to see who else might join us. We're going to use air dry clay. I'm a clay artist. A lot of you already know that, and I teach pottery for a nonprofit. And this weekend I had determined not to bring home any clay tools because I really wanted to get some housekeeping done. But now that I'm doing the air dry clay, it's like, oops, I should have brought a few things home, but I've always got a few spare. So I might not be working with exactly the same things I use, but I gathered up a bunch of things. And the good news is this project won't take a whole lot of tools. And hopefully it'll be things that you have around the house so that you don't feel like you have to go buy anything. Have my little woodland forest mug today with orange spice tea. Actually, I put 2 tea bags. One is lemon lift and one is orange spice. So I love this cup. I found it at Target. It was the last one several years ago. And I haven't seen that theme since then. So I just lucked out that day, I guess. Oh, good. I'm glad you like air dry clay, Deb. So I know Joe. Oh, hey, Angie. Welcome. So glad you're here. How are you feeling? So many people are getting zapped with COVID again. And a lot of people, it's the second time around for them, which isn't comforting. So I'll show you the brand of clay that I'm using today. This is some that I had left from the high school. It's by Amco called StoneX. And you can order it. Let me just see. I didn't even take time to read the box. It's non-toxic though, and so I'm going to show you how to make something really cute, really fun. Any air dry clay would work. I watched a lady do a little review on different air dry clay, and the one that I was so surprised about that was really durable and smooth was probably the cheapest one. It was the Crayola air dry clay. So who knew? I mean, if you don't want to, DAS was really too, and I know that one is on Amazon. It's DAS. DAS, or is it DAZ? I don't know. Anyway, I'll leave in the description box at the end of the live. I'll go back on and put a couple suggestions for air dry clay because I think you're going to want to try this. When we're doing clay, out of a brick, the best way to cut your clay, especially if it's kind of stiff, is to use a wire tool. And if you don't have the regular clay wire tool with the handles, just a piece of floral wire will work fine. And I think if you have got really strong dental floss, that would work too. But you just wrap it around and slide it through. And my air dry clay is getting kind of firm, so I had to soften it up some. But did you see I just pulled the wire right through? And then you have a slice of clay instead of, like digging a hunk of it out, because you want to leave it, you want to roll it into a slab for this particular project anyway. So it's best if you can cut it in a slice. Yeah, the wire tool comes in they have like these clay tool kits at Michael's, and one of the tools you'll get is a wire tool. But if you don't want to purchase a clay tool kit, you can just use, the green floral wire or whatever color floral wire you have. Or like I said, I think if your dental floss is strong enough, you can even slice your clay with dental floss. But I have a piece that I started rolling out. Another thing is, if you want a nice even slab of clay when you're rolling it out, you can put 2 wooden dowels on the side or wooden skewers. These are a little too thin. You might want the slightly thicker ones, but you put your clay in between. And then when the roller starts to hit the edge of the dowel, you've got that particular thickness. Sometimes we do this with like 2 painter's sticks, one on each side. And I don't have my rolling pin, so I have this little brayer. It's working just fine. But a wooden, like a thicker wooden dowel works for a rolling pin if you don't have one. I like to flip it over just to see if there's anything that needs smoothing on the other side. It's really hard for me to keep white clay clean in my studio or in my house because I always use brown clay as well. So I hope everyone's doing okay. Yeah, we missed you, Angie. I'm so glad you're back. I hope you guys get a chance to catch up in the chat. I'm not worried about it if you're, chatting among yourselves. I kind of like that. So what I thought we would make today are 2 things. One is a little lid for cups, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can make them. This is just a plain old porcelain or stoneware coffee cup, but I wanted to show you how you can make a lid to go on top. And Joanne was saying how she'd like to see how to use her clay in the molds that she has. And so I'm going to make a whole little menagerie of flowers. We're going to stick them to a round circle and let them air dry. And then next week, we'll paint them, and I'll show you how you can make a beautiful lid. Now, this one fits by putting a smaller circle on the bottom and scoring and slipping it on, and then you put all your flowers on the larger circle on the top. And then I even made a little bit of a piece hang over the side so it could have a handle. So if you can see that, that is what we're going to make. So you want to start, I'll take this one off for now. You want to start with various sizes of cutters. You can buy these stacked, I don't know what you call them, but they grade from large to small, and they're fairly inexpensive at Walmart, but I'm not sure how much they are on Amazon. But the plastic ones are great because they don't rust. I do have a stack of the metal ones, and those are nice too, but eventually after they get wet, they start to tarnish and maybe rust a little. But you can use any biscuit cutters or size cutters that you have. So for the top, the first one, you want it to be larger than, a little bit larger than the cup itself. So you can see this yellow one is perfect. It's a little bit larger. And so I'm just going to cut this out. I usually give it a press and a twist. It's really stuck, so let me just take my, this isn't really sharp. This is a little polymer clay tool to help lift it off of my mat. I can just blend that in. And then to find out what size I need for the inside, I'm just going to lay it back on top of my cup. And then I can see the markings. This one isn't too terribly big, so I know that this size will be just big enough to keep it from sliding around. It'll serve as what I call a flange, which helps keep the lid in place. So hopefully this is enough clay. It is. But you know what's fun is if you wanted, you could make a decorative circle underneath just for the fun of it. Let me find the one I just made. So for the inside of this one, I use one of my decorative rollers. So I'm going to do that again, I think. Okay, yeah, here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this into my clay. So the fun of air dry clay is you just can have molds and cutters and a rolling pin and your imagination, especially for this project. I think this makes a great gift. Now this clay is pretty stiff. Yours will probably be a little softer. I've just had mine hanging around for a while. So when I'm done, I usually try to ball it back up so that it's not in such a thin, flat piece, because that will dry out faster. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Okay, so I'm trying to pick up my little razor blade here, which is so flat. And I'm going to slide it under here a little bit to help me lift this off. There we go. Now, you guys, I don't want to assume that you don't know how to attach clay, but when you're making things that require more than one piece, you have to do what's called scoring and slipping. And there's all different kinds of scoring tools, but like the old school way is just to take your needle tool and make cross hatch marks all around. But I'm a little impatient and that takes forever. My sister gave me this tip years ago by just cutting up little pieces of plastic comb. It just does the trick so quickly. And normally I just lay this down. I'll lightly trace around it. Not too deep because I don't want to cut through. I just want to see where to make my score marks stop. And then I do the same thing on the piece that I'm going to attach. This is really important when you're making two pieces of clay joined together, because the water, or what we call slip, goes down in these little grooves and helps the piece fuse together. So if you've ever done anything with like tile and grout, it's very similar. So this is just water with a little bit of the air dry clay in there. And if you've got really dry pieces of air dry clay, when you drop them down in the water, it gets kind of milky like this. We call that slip. And I usually don't even use slip. I usually just use water. So this is real thin and runny, but you just want to put enough for it to look shiny and wet. You don't want to rub so hard that you rub the score marks away, because you need those. And now I'm going to take my little decorative circle and fuse it right onto the other piece. And this is actually going to now be the bottom, or the underside of my lid. So if you can see that, I think I'd say this is about 1/4 of an inch thick. And that's just thick enough to keep it from sliding around. Can you see that? Now I'm going to show you this one. Then I'm going to show you another one that's even quicker to make a lid. And it's sort of adjustable so that it's can fit different size cups. So this is a pretty standard size. I'm going to say, hold on one second. Let me get my tape measure. I have a tape measure. I'm coming. Sorry, guys. It's here, I promise. Of course, it's not here when I want it. Oh, man. Okay, it's not here. I really was just wanting to show you this pretty tape measure that I bought. Oh, well, let's say it's about 4 inches in diameter, maybe 3.5. I don't know. I'm bad at guessing those things. Okay, so you can see, got my decorative little flange part. It fits right on top. It won't fall off now. I probably could have even made it a little bigger, but we'll go with that for now. So that is achieved by making a circle. I want to make a slightly bigger one now, and then we're going to decorate them. And the reason I want to make a slightly bigger one is because I want to show you how you can make these adjustable. These I found, these are little shape molders for flowers, for like those really beautiful gum paste flowers that people make. I have to roll another slab, don't I? Get some more clay out here. And they put them in here when they want something to have a molded cup shape. So here's my clay. There's my brayer. I'm trying to stay within the camera, so I feel like I don't have very much room. So has everybody met everybody in the chat and said hello? So I'm doing this by request because if you said, how about we do some things with air dry clay? So I'm glad we can. I hope Mary joins us. And I hope she's feeling better. Hi, Mary. In case you watch this later, we're all thinking of you. And like I said, if you want to make sure it's nice and even, you can just put 2 like painter sticks or little dowels on each side and then roll within it. I tend to be a winging it kind of person. So I'm just going to wing it. It feels about right. Do any of you cook like that? You kind of a little pinch of this and a little pinch of that? Or do you have to go exactly by the recipe? I guess they say you're supposed to do exactly by the recipe when you bake. I understand that. I'm just really bad at doing it. I hope you guys can still hear me. Sometimes when I bang the table, my sound goes out. So this cutter, if you didn't notice, they have one side that's kind of a scalloped edge and one that's just a regular, Joan, you wing it, circle. So I just want the regular straight edge circle. And again, I'm just going to take my scraps and ball them up tight so that it doesn't dry out as fast, because this is what we're going to use to make our molded flowers. And then I'm going to lift my circle, not too rough because I don't want to stretch it out. But this one is going to be kind of domed so that we can fit our pretty much any size that's not larger, of course, than this actual circle. So you could fit it down in a little bowl. You can't leave it in there too long or it will stick. So you really just want to do it long enough to get that little domed shape. And if you have like a glass bowl or a bowl that's plastic and you're afraid it might stick, just take a little cooking oil or cooking spray and rub it on the inside, and then you can push your clay in there for a little bit until it holds the shape, and then hopefully the cooking spray will allow you to release it. You wing it too, Angie, but I bet you guys are still really good cooks. Ooh, Sunday ribs in the oven. Nobody's mad at you for that. Yum. I just made a huge thing of chicken and dumplings, but I have to say my family's just being nice, I think. I don't think they really love chicken and dumplings. They would love your ribs, though. Okay, so if you can see, anyway, I'm glad you're here. Oh, there's Mary. She said me too. She's you guys are probably wonderful cooks. I always like other people's food better than my own, but I guess that's kind of normal, right? Okay, so this one is the one, it's domed, so that way, no matter what size cup you're drinking out of, generally get it to fit. So like for instance, this is the standard size, but if you have a smaller one, because of its shape, you can set it on any cup. And then we just decorate the inside. And a really fun way to decorate this shape, well, I'll show you. I think you're going to like it. But this is our domed, our inverted dome. I don't know how to explain it. But this is our flat one. And this is our domed one. And I'm going to start embellishing them now. So Lori, those of you who just came in, we're making a tea lid, a lid for our teacups out of air dry clay. And we're going to use some of the latex molds to get our flowers. And so I started with we have two options. We have the flat circle or the domed circle lid. They're both going to be lids. And while I'm working on this one, I'll leave the domed one in the little cup shape so it can start firming up and taking on the lidded shape. And if we have time, I want to make one more thing that I think you're going to like, and it's a little tea light lantern that you can make with a glass jar, because these go actually pretty quick. So we don't need our circle cutters anymore. And then I don't know if you remember a few videos back, I did a haul and I kind of was going crazy getting all these clay molds. And so I've got way more than I'm ever going to use. Well, I'll use them, but I certainly don't need any more. This one, and I'll tell you where I got them from. This one came from AliExpress. And I just have to say I have success with AliExpress sometimes and other times I don't. But this is a layer cake mold and it makes rose prints. And this one was really hard to find. Everywhere I went it was unavailable. I think it's available again on Amazon. But you just basically roll a long or rectangle of clay. Do I know how to make sculptured flowers with a palette knife? You know, I can't say I know how. I've never tried it, but I wouldn't mind trying it. I bet that would be fun. And you probably could use clay or plaster. So anyway, she's going to be out looking for some air dry clay. I don't blame you. I think you're going to find these really fun, especially because you don't have to worry about firing them in a kiln. And I'll show you how to seal them so that they will be waterproof. And it is non-toxic clay, so you can use them, as a lid for your tea and not worry about anything leaching into your tea. Does everybody have a cup of tea? I don't know why I feel like I need tea today. I hope I'm not catching anything, God forbid. I also want to show you this embossing folder. What is you call those embossing machines and die cut machines? I have that old crank kind, and these things just sit because I rarely ever use my paper die cut machine. So what I do sometimes is I take the embossing folders and I'll roll those into my clay to get texture. So if you're like me and rarely use them for paper, maybe you would want to pull them out and use them for clay. And then Wilton cake, the cake decorating people, they make these molds for flowers. And so these are both by Wilton, and you can find these on Amazon. These I got at Michael's here in the States. So if you don't live here, I'm not exactly sure what brand they would be under, but they do sell them internationally. And these are really pretty daisies, leaves, and butterflies. They have others too. These are by Sculpty. You can find these online. These are all different kinds of leaves. And then there is one little forget-me-not flower. And then Prima Marketing has these. They are by Redesign. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, if you look in Prima Marketing, they use these when they're like redoing wood cabinets and things and you want moldings and fancy embellishments, and these work great. And then I love this one. This one is all different size roses. And I'll note that you do want to make sure you purchase the ones that are fairly thick. It helps when it's time to pop them out. If they're those really thin, flat molds, it is really hard to get a nice, clean piece out of those. And let's see, you were saying, do you need special paint? No, and that's the other thing. You can just use your regular acrylic paint. You can use watercolor paint. All you have to do is, when you're done, put some kind of sealing coat on the top, like shellac or varnish of some sort over the top. Yeah. So this is the one where you can get all kinds of roses. And then, like I said, just make sure that it's some of the images on Amazon will show you how thick they are. You don't want them much thinner than this, and I'm going to guess that's about 1/4 of an inch. So let's make some flowers. I'm not going to use this guy right now. I think we'll keep it simple. And I'll show you how to make them come out easily. Some people have a lot of trouble getting their clay molded pieces out of the mold. And all I can say is use fairly dry clay. I know it seems like the softer the better, but it gets all gummy in there. You want it soft enough to still be pliable, but not so soft that it's sticking to your fingers. And you want to push in your clay and make sure it's about the same size as the actual shape you're pushing it into. You don't want to overload the space. So I've overloaded it a little bit, but now I can just take my thumb and gently take some of the clay off, and the rest, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm sort of pushing towards the center away from the frame of the mold, and that way there's a little bit of opening there. And then this one is sort of too small for those, but probably just right for this one. This is what I scraped off the edge of that first one. So if you can see, I used almost exactly the same size clay that I need. You don't want to go too big and get it a really huge piece of clay in there. And so like this one, I can now just press it in, wipe away just a little bit of it. And then I'm going to push towards the center. And if I like all of the flowers on here and I think I'm going to use all of them, I just go ahead and fill them all. I know for a fact I don't really like this one, so I'm not even going to put any clay in that one. And I like to make several flowers at a time. Yeah, some people do dust them with cornstarch first, and that's an option, but I always feel like if I can get it in and out cleanly without the cornstarch, I prefer that because the cornstarch just makes more of a mess. So I just try to work with clay that's not too sticky. And then push in almost the exact amount that I need. But if you're finding you have trouble, go ahead and use like cornstarch or baby powder, or even a little cooking spray works in these. Now, when you're going to attach it to your lid, I'm going to move this domed one out of the way for now. But you have to do that scoring and slipping process. So I'm going to go back with my comb and make my scratch marks all over the lid, because I'm planning on covering the whole lid anyway. So in order to move a little faster, you can just score the whole thing. And if you guys forget any of these steps, just jump back on and refer to the video and you'll be able to remember each step. So that you can make these. They make really fun gifts. Of course, I like to make the mug and the lid, but if you give a pretty cup to somebody, you can purchase the cup and make the lid, and it'll be partly homemade. And everyone loves a handcrafted gift. So if you noticed, I scored these while they were in the mold. It makes it so much easier so that when it's time to stick them on, you don't have to worry about altering the shape of the flowers so much. And then the only thing you have to remember is really bend these. That's how they come out. So can you see I'm bending it so that it's really helping me pull these out gently. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Don't be afraid to really bend them. See that? And by bending them, it releases them from the mold. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Now, oops, if your clay was too gummy, even bending them like this might be a little, oops, that one just flew across, a little challenging. But like I said, I wait and let my clay be a little less sticky, like this. So now I've got those. And now I want to show you how I do my roses. You can use the little molded ones, and I think I will go ahead and fill some of these, and then I'll show you how to make a handcrafted one. I like the way this one looks. Wait, maybe this one. If you order these pink ones, they're real floppy. The stiffer the rubber or latex, the better, because it helps hold the mold, or it helps when you go to press it in. It helps the imprint show up a little bit better. So I kind of have to like brace it on the bottom as I press in. And I'm going to still scoop some of this off. The best way to get it from being so sticky is to just leave it out for a little bit and let it firm up some. But what I find is when I work with it, like cutting out my circles, by the time I cut out my circles, the scrap that was around the circle tends to be drier by then, and then I can go ahead and roll that out or into my molds. But I think the best way to gauge is if you roll it into a ball and it's not sticking to your hands, and it actually takes a little extra pressure to get it into the ball shape, that's probably just what you want. But if you start rolling it and you notice it's sticking to your fingers, then it's too stiff. So if you leave it out for a while, like, I don't even know, I'm not a real expert on air dry clay. You just have to pay attention to it and make sure it doesn't get too dry. But the good thing about air dry clay is you can just add a little bit of water. If it gets too dry, wrap it in some paper towel, drop it in a Ziploc bag, and give it about 10 minutes, and it'll soften back up. Okay, so I've got a few roses here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to score them. With my little piece of comb. And then bend and pop them out. So the pink ones are real flexible and they pop out easily, like so. But what I want to show you, oh, I really like this one too. This one, you can find it all over Amazon. And then this one, oh, we just did that one. I have these as well. They're little spring-loaded leaf cutters, and I like to have a few leaves on hand when I'm decorating with a flower design. Oh, sorry for the squeaking. Now, if you have the leaf mold, of course you can use those. I kind of just wanted to show you a variety of different cutters and molds, and so I'll show you these. And you can find these in the baking aisle at Hobby Lobby, and Joann's, I think, has them, pretty sure. But you cut and then you press, and it has a little embossed veining there. And those are the same size, but I also, do I have a smaller one? Let me see. Well, I thought I had a smaller one, but I guess I don't. So let's do one more of this size. Okay. So like this is getting stiff. So I'm going to back up to keep it from drying out. The thinner and flatter it is, the quicker it dries out. Sometimes I'll taper them a little bit. The only thing with this one is you don't have the luxury of scoring it before, because when you press down, it would just smooth the score marks out. So you kind of have to do these second or last. Okay, so now that I have everything all scored, I'm going to take a paintbrush and my slip. Have I made these to sell? No, I actually haven't. I have a whole new line of work that I'm working on, and it's called my Woodland Fairy pottery themed work. And so this may be something that I'll add to the collection. But my Etsy shop's been closed for a little bit now because I really wanted to make sure I worked on something I was proud of. And I'm really proud of what I've put in there so far, but it was dwindling down and I really wasn't feeling as inspired. And now that I've been working, I've been making these mugs and bowls and even little ceramic spoons. I've been having so much fun. So I can't really project a date for opening up my Etsy shop again. Hopefully soon. I want it open for the holidays. So I'll keep you posted. Anyway, this is the fun part, you guys, because once you have all of your molded flowers popped out, you can just start layering them and placing them wherever you want and tucking in little things. If you're really good at molding and you enjoy it, I'm going to turn this one more at an angle. You could even make your own little shapes and add ladybugs or alter the shape a little bit. I don't typically like to do things popped directly out of the mold, but I think in this case, because it's about how you arrange it and how you hand paint it, it can become more of your own work as a result. I'm going to save that one for a minute, and I want to show you how I make my rolled roses. So I'll save those two. I make a strip of clay by just rolling a log, or what I call a coil, and then I roll it flat, not too thin. And then you can either take a needle tool and cut a strip of scallops if you want. I just happen to have these little molded scalloped pieces, but you could just cut a row of scallops. Let's use this one. I can move this out of the way. Don't need that. Like so. So if you can see, I have just this strip of scallops now. And I don't want the petals to be too thick, so I'm going to just press the tip of them down just to make it a little tapered. And then, because I want to roll it, always lose my scoring tool. Here it is. I want to roll it. I am going to score a little bit of this. I will say, though, if you forget to score the scalloped strip of clay, it's really not going to be the end of the world, because we're going to roll these onto each other. So you start at the end and tightly roll the first one, and then kind of flare it out a little bit. Roll the next one and flare it out a little bit. And you just keep doing that all the way around. And if you need to slide them over, like you don't want them directly behind each other, you want them to look like petals, you can do that. Like I'm going to pull that one off and move it over just a little bit. But by doing that, I now have this rose. I'm going to squeeze so that I'm tapering it in a little bit at the bottom. And then I'm going to take my blade here, which is, again, not that sharp. It's just flat and thin. And I'm going to cut all the way across. And if time were no issue, I would go back and put one more there. Actually, I am going to, because that's going to bother me if I don't. But I need another petal there. So let's just roll this enough to cut one more petal. Maybe two. Oops. Oh, I got a little too vigorous with that, so I'm going to add a little bit of water, aka slip, and if you can see, it just looks like it's missing a petal there, so I'm going to add this one, and that just helped make it look a little more full. And now I'm going to roll it down like so. So I hope you ladies are able to chat and keep in touch if you'd like, or offer your suggestions, encouragement, whatever you might like. This would also make a nice little knob in the middle if, for instance, you wanted to just have something to lift the lid off with. So speaking of that, I think that's what I'll do. I think I'm going to move this one over just a little bit. I'm going to have to add a little more slip and then move it over. Oh, okay, Joanne. That's great. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I'm going to score right here generously. Aw, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying watching. And then see all those score marks? You can see I wasn't gentle. I really want to make sure that I have those grooves in there because it really helps hold it together. And now I'm going to give it a nice little push, hopefully without ruining my petals. But I do have to give it a pretty firm push to make sure it's nice and stuck. Like so. And I will say these little fondant tools, I'll show you the blue ones here. They are really inexpensive. Like I got a whole set of these for like $1.99. And they are helpful to get down in the little nooks and crannies. Okay, so I like to make the rolled roses because they just have more dimension. And even though the molded ones aren't bad, I like both. So something fell. I don't know if that, oh good, I was hoping it wasn't my paintbrush. I just use a regular old paintbrush to add my slip. Yeah, these really would be pretty on glass. All right, I'm gonna add some more of my flowers and some more of my leaves. So if you can see right here, I'm gonna tuck this leaf in by bending it in there, giving it a little push. And sometimes if there's a little flaw and I just want to cover up the flaw, I'll just, my instructor in college used to say, if you feel like you messed it up, just decorate the heck out of it and nobody will know. Sometimes there's an advantage to just being able to add more embellishment. And so I'm pressing one in there, but I'm going to go for an even smaller one, this teeny one right here. I'm just going to wipe away. Score, score, score. Score, score, score. Now I have this cute, tiny little one. I'll stick there. And then this one where I have the leaf, I'm going to stick this tiny guy. Because it got a little mutilated down there. So I'm just going to add another flower. And then I'll just add maybe 2 more. I think I will pop out a little butterfly here. So like I said, start with a dry mold and clay that's not too gummy. You can see it's not sticking to my thumb at all as I push this in. So that's a good sign that it's not too wet. And I'm just pressing until I can see it slightly able to pull away. Are the pieces heavy or the molds? The molds are pretty, they're pretty heavy. The pink ones are a bit lighter, but these are like rubber, I think. These are like a hard rubber you might find on a tennis shoe or gym shoe. But you can see, so I just popped out my little butterfly. I forgot to score it while it was in the mold. So I'm going to have to do that now. And now I'm going to add a little bit of slip here. And then there's a big space there. Oh, are the lids heavy? The lids are kind of heavy, but I think it's good because it helps hold the heat in. So you can see I tucked a little butterfly in there. And I'll do just a couple more. Which ones should we do? How about, I have this pretty little cherry blossom. Yeah, after you put them on, I wish I had a scale. I can't really gauge how heavy that is. But like I said, I do think it's helpful for it to be nice and sturdy to hold the heat in. And it also makes them a little more durable. Another lady I was watching did a little test of dropping them on the ground to see how strong the clay is. And the DAS clay didn't break even when she dropped it on a hardwood floor. So there's my little cherry blossom. And I just added a little more slip here. And I'm going to push it in the center so that the petals pop up a little bit. And then I'm going to take a tiny piece of clay and push it into this little one. I like using this little tiny flower as, oops, you never tried Play-Doh with your kids? No? You know, it's funny when I teach kids, I don't teach children much anymore, but it's funny how many parents didn't allow their kids to use Play-Doh because they didn't want to get it in the carpet. Well, my mother wasn't that kind of mother. So I just took that tiny little one, and instead of using that little circle as the center, I used a little daisy. Gives it more dimension, and yeah, I think it just gives it more dimension. Made it a little more fun. So maybe 2 more flowers on this one, and then I'm going to show you a really quick embellishment to do for the other lid that you could make somewhat adjustable to the size cup you want to use. So let's just pop out a couple of these little roses, if you can see that one. And I have space right here for this one. Sometimes I'll just hold on to it and make sure it's I have space for one right here. And we will use this one. So has anybody gotten any more progress on their lace doily books? Thank you, Mary. You guys, I hope you try these because it's just 1 brick of air dry clay. And even if you only had a couple of the molds, like a leaf mold, a flower mold, and just a leaf one and a flower one. And sometimes you can buy them where there's leaves and flowers in the same mold. And you could just go to town. And then you could freehand the little things like ladybugs or even butterflies. You could take just a needle tool and make a sculpted piece. They also sell really tiny cutters in the polymer clay section. And I have seen them on Amazon where you can get like little dragonflies and butterflies and all kinds of tiny little cutters. Yeah, I know, Mary. I feel for you. Today literally is the first day where I didn't go outside and say, I can't do it. And it was still, I mean, we were going to church, so it was like I wasn't going to turn back around and go in the house, but it's been oppressive. It really is. And if we grew up without air conditioning because we lived up north where the heat waves didn't last that long. But you guys have really been going through it. Okay, so this one is now finished. Oh, you know what? No, I need one more right there. See, this is another thing. You could probably keep going and going and going. And instead of thinking less is more, it starts to feel like more is more. I hope you guys get a break in that heat soon. It's kind of mind altering. I'm laughing, but it is. It's very distressing when you're hot all the time. I would hate that. Okay, so I'm going to stick one more here. Then let's see, one more rose. It's getting cloudy outside. I'm wondering if it's about to start raining. Okay. That was fun. You guys, it's so much fun to craft with you because by the time I'm done, I've got I've got a second lid already. So I really do appreciate you coming and visiting with me. It definitely has become something I look forward to. And there's my last one. Okay, so where's my cup? Here's my cup. And here's my lid. And when it firms up a little bit more, I'll probably go around and kind of smooth the edges a little bit more. But isn't that fun, you guys? Sorry, I think I'm giving you guys another reason to shop. Just blame me if anybody asks. Carla just introduced us to a new project and I have to do it. Okay, so I'm going to move these out of the way and I'm going to show you one last little thing. Next week, though, I want to show you the lantern. I'm not going to be able to get to the luminary lantern this week, but we'll do it next week and we'll paint these next week because the clay needs about 48 hours to cure, sometimes longer if you live in a humid climate, before you want to add paint to it. So I wouldn't be able to paint these for a couple days anyway, because I want to make sure that they're really dry. Yes, you hang out with us anytime. So here's the little adjustable lid that's domed. And all I'm going to do is make this cutesy little bird. And then any other embellishments, really, the sky is the limit. But you just start with a round ball and you start to pinch the tail so that it almost looks like a teardrop. So you see that? And then you do the same thing in the front, only not as defined. And then I'm going to taper the tail and this is going to actually serve as my little handle. So I'm going to flatten this some. So you're basically just pinching and sculpting until you get a shape that you're happy with. And yes, you can. Everyone can do this. In case you're saying you can't do this, I can hear you. I'm not even really good at birds because many of you know I have a fear of birds. So shaping a bird doesn't come naturally for me. I'm not picturing the actual form very well. But this is my own species. So I can make him however I want. Okay, so I'm going to pinch it so that I have a beak. And you can be as crude and primitive or realistic as you want. I'm just going to try to keep shaping him. And then I'm going to take my needle tool. Let me see if I can get it in camera. And I'm going to make a wing by just cutting up and then around. I'll do the same over here. Just up and around. And then I'll just make a little mark where his eye would be. Let's blend that in a little bit. I really think it's about to start raining, which is actually nice because I didn't water my garden today, which I was going to go do, but if it rains, I don't need to. Okay, so I'm just going to put little faux marks here that make it hopefully look like tail feathers. And then he would sit down in there, which I'm going to score, make some score marks. You could even make a cute little nest if you wanted him to look like he was sitting in a bird's nest, or she. I'm going to score his belly a little bit so that it will definitely stick. If for some reason your pieces don't stick, you can always glue them back together. Where's my paintbrush? There it is. A little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit of a press. And then what I would do is take some paint so that it almost looks like he's in a bird bath, and maybe put some glossy accents or something shiny so that it looks like water, but we can do that when we paint it. But any little piece could be your embellishment. I just thought a bird would be kind of cute. And then when it's dry, this would be the way you would lift it on and off of your cup. So that's a little simple way to make one. I'm reading your comments. Yeah, I know, Angie, you love the hot. And you do have a lovely garden where you can relax and stay cool. I'm embarrassed to say we have a community pool that I never go to. I should. All right, so there's the little bird teacup lid. Let's take this guy off and put this guy on so I can show you. This is where you would come in then after you score and slip it on and just do a little cleanup work and take your craft tools and go around and blend away any of the score marks that might be visible. And you guys would probably make a much better bird than me. This guy looks, like I said, like a different species of bird. The one we haven't discovered yet, I guess. Anyway, there's one air dry clay tea holder or tea lid, and there's another air dry clay tea lid. And since I'm done with my tea, I'll take one more drink. I'll show you using mine how it doesn't matter what size cup you have, the lid will fit pretty much any teacup because of it being bowed in like that. So today we did air dry clay tea lids. And you know what else is fun? You could put a little hole on the bottom, and then you could hang these on the wall, you know, just a decorative piece until you need to use it. But I would probably just store it on top of my teacups in the cupboard. So what do you think, guys? Thank you so much. I hope you'll try it. And remember, you don't need to invest in a whole lot of these molds. You don't have to be crazy like I was. You could just get, like, for instance, this one has a cherry blossom, a leaf, a tiny leaf, and this is a branch. And believe it or not, that branch really does work. I'm able to get that branch out. Some of these I was real skeptical, like, yeah, right, I'm going to be able to get that tiny little branch out of the mold. But if you like I said, just use clay that's about the same size as the space and that's not too sticky. Thank you, Mary. I take that as a high compliment coming from you. And then you can just get started. A little piece of a wooden dowel works great for a rolling pin. Regular circle biscuit cutters for shapes. Yeah, it doesn't take much. Even the lid of a jar or the round of a glass jar for cutting out circles works really well. And then, like I said, next week we'll make the lantern. I have the little tea light, battery operated light to go in it. I think it's going to be really pretty. This is one of the jars. And if you go in a lot of the home decor stores right now, they're really into the ceramic flowers, like on the lid of jars and wallflowers and things like that. They seem to be kind of the thing, the going decor right now. So it'll be fun to keep playing with those for a little bit. I've gone to 5:13, you all, and I really appreciate you sticking with me this long because I try to end in about an hour. But I have to say, I was having a lot of fun myself. And it's just nice to have a moment where we can kind of visit and chat. I hope you'll all be encouraged this week and have something really good happen this week. And let's all pray that the heat gives us a break. And I'm sending you all best wishes, love, and prayers. And I think I should probably say goodbye. So thanks again. I'm looking forward to seeing you all back here next week. And bring a friend if you want. And let me know if you tried any of the air dry clay. Thank you, Angie. You are so sweet. And I want you all to know I miss you when you're not able to be here. So just know we love having you as much as you love being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Joanne. Bye. Bye, Angie. Bye, Mary. Bye, Lori. Blessings.